On this episode of the NWA 1984 project, ROH at MSG, Okada, Omega, 7 star, and wrestler spotlights, Roddy Piper and Lanny Poffo. And away we go. And welcome back to the NWA 1983 project. I'm your host, Juan Cena, and with me, as always, is Matt Riley. How you doing tonight, Matt?
I'm playing hurt, man.
Again?
You know what? I'm like a wrestler. I'm wrapped up, my over bandaged tonight. My ribs are wrapped up. Anyways, I didn't hurt my ribs, but just because I'm a wrestler, I'd be wrapped up.
You going DDP style with the taped up ribs?
Yeah, I always love that. Wait a minute. So your ribs are in pain, so you're gonna put more pressure on them? What? Really? All right.
I just can't believe we wrestled in those fucking jeans for so long. It was weird.
One time I got a fireball gimmick, and after the show they put Vaseline on my neck and wrapped a bandage around it to make it look hurt. Oh god, that was so
I've heard about guys who would go take a towel and rub it on their face that looks fucked up and shit.
Yeah, gotta look banged up.
Yeah, look banged up.
Sell it, brother.
So on this episode, we're going to talk about Okada and Omega. We're going to talk about MSG and its issues with the WWE currently. We're going to talk about Roddy Piper and leaping Lanny Poffo. And we're going to talk about booking strategies and what we're doing here in the NWA 1984 project. So if you've been following along with us, what we're doing here, you would know that currently Bruiser Brody is the NWA World Champion. So I was thinking the other day, how do we get the most out of what we're doing in front of us? So in terms of booking strategies and philosophies, for me here, again, never been a wrestler, never been a writer, never been a booker. We're looking at the time frame, which is 1984. And I think we're going to use more of a New York style of booking where we have the babyface champion on top, and we're going to bring in mostly monsters for him to slay. On occasion, he'll get the match with, a technician or a technical hero, chicken shit heel, what have you, but for the most part, it's going to be monsters. And the way I like to envision effective booking, strategies is you have your big show and you book backwards. So for me, when I'm looking at what our next big show is, will most likely be, Starrcade 84, I'm looking at the main event of that show being Bruiser Brody taking on Stan Hansen. And the reason I picked Brody and Hansen is that they have a legitimate real-life friendship, right? They've been partners, they've been enemies, they've been, everything, and those matches would be exactly what we want them to be, and I think it would draw a hell of a house. But the question becomes, how do we get there? And for me, what we have currently is we have a babyface Bruiser Brody, and we have a babyface Stan Hansen. And the way I feel I would position them is, Brody being the top guy, and whatever monster or person is going to, or whatever wrestler is going to face Brody, they have to get through Hansen first. So if we do a situation where it's King Kong Bundy taking on Bruiser Brody, that's the main event I want to go forward with, I would have them beat Hansen first, move up to face Brody, have Brody beat him, then move that wrestler down, and then have Stan Hansen get his win back. And I think I would do that for an extended period of time to get to the point, you can say 3 months out, 6 weeks out, what have you, where it's Brody and Hansen in a tag team match, and they're facing the NWA World Tag Team Champions, the Road Warriors, and they lose, or it's a smudge, or something happens in the match where, Brody and Hansen do not win the World Tag Team Championship, and that's when you have that Stan Hansen turn. And then, that's when the challenge goes out for Hansen to go after the World Heavyweight Championship. I think that's effective. I think that's what we're going to do, moving forward. Again, in terms of booking philosophies, when I look at a super card like that, or WrestleMania, Starrcade, or what have you, you want to get in a position where the top half of your card, all the wrestlers on the top half of your card are super, super hot. So you have to start building them 6 months, 8 months in advance to get to a point where they're going to draw a huge gate at the box office. So your top half of the card, I want all those wrestlers, not even to really have losses against them, have everyone be super, super hot. The bottom half of your card is where you're trying to elevate guys for your following year. So that's where you have like these little feuds that would elevate guys to be in the top half of the card for the following year. Obviously, you're moving some of the guys who are currently in the top half of the card down. They could be gone because this is still a territory era, so you can still kind of move someone somewhere else and have them come back at a later time. I would also think about, of course, it's 1984. You want to do that Dusty and Flair thing. There's no way you can't get around that. You're going to have to do that. And the way they've always booked Dusty and Flair has been phenomenal. There's no reason to kind of go back and change that. That Hard Times promo is one of the greatest promos of all time. So you want to keep that. Although, if you go back and look at JCP in 84, Flair, at least in Crockett, is a babyface in 1984. And he's a babyface going into that match with Dusty. Essentially, a babyface versus babyface match is just, it's two different types of babyfaces, so it's like kind of oil and water and they clash, right?
Right.
But it's nothing like, it's not a blood and guts kind of feud there. It's just no sneak attacks, no injury angles. That wouldn't happen until, later on in 85 in the formation of the Horsemen. So in 84, Flair is being a heel elsewhere. He's a heel in Dallas. He's a heel in St. Louis. But in Crockett, he's still a babyface, which is still weird. But I feel at this point, since what we're doing is a national expansion, Ric Flair's turn would have to happen earlier. So there could be something where, I don't like to do turns, like I'm going to turn on the guy and challenge him for a match at a big pay-per-view, at least a lot. I don't want to do that often because it's kind of a crutch, and you want to use those for your main event, like your Hogan Orndorff, right? They were buddies, and then Orndorff turned, and you can only use that so many times until it comes to the point where you burn that out. So I'm thinking I would have Flair turn on someone else and have like Dusty be upset by it. He'd be pissed. It could be Magnum. It could be it could be Blackjack Mulligan. It could be basically anybody. Where Flair is frustrated that he's not the national champion. Again, when you're talking about Crockett, at this point, what we're doing, Crockett's top belt is the national championship, at least in this universe. Our Los Angeles territory, the United States Championship, is our top championship, but then you have the World Championship on top of that. But again, you're not going to see Brody necessarily on TV or in their promotion, steadily. He's going to be touring the entire world at that point. So you need something for them to compete for. So having Dusty and Flair, feud over that national championship is probably the way we want to go. Flair's still pissed that he lost the belt to Brody in the first place. And again, be one of those scenarios where, like they did in WCW, where, hey, the United States champion is the number one contender, and they're going to get their shots regularly at the World Championship, and it makes the guys in that particular territory want to vie for that championship more. You want to have your feuds going into a big event like as hot as possible, and that's more of an old school style. Modern booking is a lot different. Modern writing, I would say, I would correct myself and say modern writing is a little bit different, where you're not necessarily looking to get a buy rate off a pay-per-view. You're looking to get bigger rating on TV, so that's why you see more star versus star matches, high profile matches on, let's say, a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown, and then they oftentimes repeat those matches on a pay-per-view.
Yeah,
it's just different. I mean, it sounds easy, right? Now, when I say what I'm doing, it sounds simple, and a lot of people say, "Oh, I could write better, I could book better," but in your own mind, you are booking in a bubble. There's 1,000 different variables that are in play here. You don't know if a guy gets injured, then you have to change direction. You don't know if something that you're doing doesn't work, and you have to change direction.
Right.
You don't know if someone gets hot that you didn't expect, and you have to put them in a higher position on the card because they got hot where you didn't expect them to.
Right. Like what if they get caught, or accused of rape, and then it ends up being fake charges, and they cut a promo video that's really bizarre? But that could happen.
That could happen. What if you get caught on the New Jersey Turnpike with your opponent, and you have cocaine and weed in the car?
Oh.
Yeah. So stuff like that happens. And what if a guy leaves your promotion? So when a lot of people talk about I would do this, I would do that. Well, yes and no. They tend to think booking's in a bubble, and it's like a TV show where, when you write a TV show, you write the 13 episodes and that's it. And whatever you write, you're not changing it mid-season. You know what I mean?
Right.
And when it comes to WWE, you still have Vince who will, he changes his mind a lot. It's like, fuck it, we're not doing this anymore. Fucking cut that shit out. Fuck it.
Right.
So when people give, say, like a Road Dogg shit or some of the other writers shit about, some of their booking decisions, it ultimately comes down to Vince. And a lot of those guys are writing TV to appease Vince. I think Vince would like this, so I won't write it this way. Although they probably know better, and they could probably write better stuff. So,
this is outstanding. Look at the happy Latino dancing. Let me tell you. It's funny. I saw a picture come out the other day, and it was Adam Rose posted it. And it was him and, like, his Rose Brigade, or the hell they called themselves.
Rosebuds. Braun Strowman was a Rosebud. I don't know if you remember that.
Well, that's the thing. If you look at the picture, Simon Gotch is in it. Braun Strowman's in it. Elias is in it. Becky Lynch is in it. If I'm a performer, I don't care how bad you want to be on TV. You don't...
I'm not
have
doing that.
Integrity. Like, don't take that. Like, wait. I'd rather have somebody wait and, like, do it right than, take some shit-ass opportunity, get out there, and then be like, oh, you... For example, when Cena was going against Dolph Ziggler, he had a promo where he made fun of him being part of the Varsity Squad.
The Spirit Squad, yes.
Spirit Squad, yeah. And Ziggler never really kind of bit back on it. He kind of just, like, took it. And I always felt it hurt their feud. And I always wanted him to say, like, he could have come back and, like, next week and be like, well, Jones, look at, Prototype. There you go. There's a nice name and a nice bowl cut, like, whatever. Like, everyone comes from somewhere. Right. And it's where you get, go to. But, like,
But some of these gimmicks will kill a guy forever.
Right.
Like, not for nothing, and a lot of people, Terry Taylor's a punchline, but Terry Taylor in Mid-South was fucking awesome. And that Red Rooster gimmick got in his head so fucking bad that some guys may have been able to rebound from that. He wasn't able to.
No. I met him at a workshop once.
Yeah, he knows his shit.
Yeah.
He's in the Performance Center right now, but he knows his shit, but a lot of times these gimmicks are fucking career killers. It's like, you're killing me. You're killing me. Especially if they're not on TV for a long time. Like you take Kurt Hawkins, right? He's essentially a job guy. He has not won a match since he's returned to the WWE. And I wonder how big he would be if he left WWE today and went to New Japan. You think they're going to fucking take him serious? Like, you never won a match in WWE. How can I even put you on my card?
And that's the thing. It's like, they have to stop thinking of their success is hinged upon someone else's decision. Like, look at Cody Rhodes. He was like, fuck this shit, did his own thing. Now he's, a huge star. But more importantly, he's having much better matches. They're meaningful series matches as opposed to...
He's more comfortable in his skin being Cody Rhodes. The character that he portrays now, which is closer to himself, he's more comfortable. Hence his matches are much better.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, he wasn't having those quality matches at Stardust. He just wasn't. Yeah. So it's like, what are you going to do? And I kind of feel bad for some of these guys because they get stuck with some of these silly gimmicks and obnoxious gimmicks, and it's like you're doomed unless you're going to retire in a couple of years. I'm going to be a bushwhacker. Fuck it, I'm already like 45 years old. I don't give a shit. Pay me. Right. But it's like, I want to see more guys get over on their own terms. CM Punk never fucking ever changed. He's always been literally the same guy. Yep. And even when the WWE wasn't pushing him and wasn't doing anything with him, he's like, no, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And he got over on his own. And Daniel Bryan, they tried to fucking fuck him up 1,000 times. They put him in the Wyatt family. Why? I don't know. It was ridiculous. Him and Kane are seeing therapists and shit. He was able to bounce back and got over organically, but it's like, that's some shitty shit. Like, that is some shitty ass shit. And I think when people are pitching some of these ideas and some of these gimmicks, you have to keep the performer, like, you don't want to give these guys gimmicks that's going to fucking kill them either. And I don't think they care. And it's like, this is what we're going to have you do. You're going to look silly. You're going to look stupid. Like, what the fuck is Bobby Lashley doing? They had a segment where Sami Zayn and Bobby Lashley, and it looked like American Ninja Warrior. Like, it was American Gladiators. It was fucking ridiculous. So all that heat that Sami Zayn got off of Kevin Owens, or they're feuding with Shane McMahon and all that shit, all that shit is gone, and he's a joke again.
Yeah, I was watching that, and I'm like, oh, here we go. And it's like a lot of fucking work to get a sneak attack by the bad guy. And maybe it was a nod to American Ninja Warrior. Like, why not just have them do a segment at American Ninja Warrior?
Well, yeah, that'd make more sense. You know, Bobby Lashley is a legitimate, MMA fighter as well. And nope, we're just gonna have him. It's like they don't know how. We talked about this a while back, where there was a point in time, and I think it's still very much like this, is where they don't know how to book women like correctly. Like some of they do with like the female performers, they just book them the same way you would book the men performers. You don't have to have them be catty and bitchy and have all that shit in it. Right. Just have it be just a regular, have it be a fucking wrestling angle. That's all you really fucking need. And I don't think they understand how to book African American talent, because there's always some sort of weird caricature. Like even Booker T, and I love Booker T. Booker T is one of my favorite wrestlers. He's probably one of the worst commentators of all time, but he's one of my favorite wrestlers. And he's always doing something fucking bizarre. Like, why can't you be a serious athlete? You know what I mean? Well, like he's done a lot of comedy. Remember he was King Booker, and he had that weird accent for no reason. I'm pretty sure he would just get over as Booker T. And I think when they look at African American talent, they're always like, they always want to have them kind of chucking and jiving, or they're doing something ridiculous, or even like Titus O'Neil. Now Titus O'Neil is a fucking shit worker. I think we could all agree on that. But I like him in that manager's role, though. They have Apollo Crews. What do they do with Apollo Crews? They don't know what the fuck to do with him. And he's a great worker, and he can't talk. So you put them together, you have a nice little package, Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews. Yeah. It's like they want to book him like he's fucking slick.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Let's get some heat on these boys. And they do weird things. I don't understand it. I'm all for... I'll be full disclosure. I like my wrestling a little bit more serious, but I do like my ridiculous shit too, especially if it's on the undercard.
Sure.
I like funny, ridiculous shit. Like I'm a RoboCop apologist. I like the Dungeon of Doom. I like my ridiculous shit, but where it's like it's just what they do. A lot of it is very fucking cringy. Like it's like, ugh.
Well, I think the racial aspect of it. I mean, like, all right, you look at like New Day.
Yeah.
Remember when they first appeared? They were like
they were preachers. Fire. Yeah, it was fucking weird.
And it was like, okay,
they've done that like 4 times already.
So okay, the preacher gimmick. Then they just went kind of weird. And they've kind of morphed into their own thing.
They're their own thing now, which is they let them like at a certain point they just let them be them. And look, they're over. Like Big E is a goofball. Like legitimately, he's a goofball in real life. So he's goofy. Xavier Woods, he's a gamer and he's a nerd, and they translate that on the screen very well. And then you have Kofi, who is the best athlete out of all of them, and he's the best worker out of all of them. But even his personality is coming out. At least he's not pretending to be fucking Jamaican anymore.
Right. And I think it goes back to them just not knowing what to do with guys sometimes. So they're like, oh, well, let's have this guy dance around the ring and have people follow him, and it'll be a good time. The fans will really love it. Ooh, boy.
That's why I like Del Rio's character. Like, Del Rio's character was a cool character. Like, because you don't really see that. Like, he wasn't coming out on no fucking Lucha House Party, or he's coming out on a fucking lawnmower, and, he was... essentially like a Mexican $1 million man.
I
That's how
think
they
the
portrayed
problem
him.
they have is they're sort of afraid to have really heelish heels.
Yeah.
Like
Well, they're afraid of the heat.
think of the Heat like like in the wrestling game, the gimmick of like a Barry Stevens, like a heel where they cut promos against the country, but like not like USA Patui, but
Right.
like really cut up injustice and Black Lives Matter, and like really really went that way. How much heat they would get in parts of this country?
Yeah.
Crazy. That translates to dollars, but they'd be petrified to do
Oh,
it.
they're scared. They're scared.
They'd be like,
Like
oh
even the
no.
Miz. Miz, to his credit, has overcome a lot of that, and he's probably the only one that can really generate heat kind of the right way. Kevin Owens to a lesser degree, but even him, I feel that he's even shackled because if you watched his promos on Talking Smack, you're like, holy shit, these are fucking amazing. Like,
Yeah.
where is that? And same thing with Kevin Owens. You watch Kevin Owens on Talking Smack, you're like, holy shit, where is that? And I was
Right.
like, let these boys get some heat. They're afraid of the heat. They're afraid of the heat, so they do weird things to get. I call it fake heat. Roman Reigns is fake heat. That's not real heat. That's fake heat. And like, oh, we get boos. It's like, oh, we'll get Brock Lesnar boo. We'll have the fans boo Brock Lesnar because he never comes to fucking TV. That's fucking fake heat. That's not real heat. Because they would stop booing him if he could come to TV 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable. What are they doing?
I think that they wanted to really go with the right. Like if you look at like NXT, the angles are based around the performance. They're
Ciampa
not
might be the best heel in the fucking industry right now.
right. He's the only one who has a personal edge to it. Everyone else has performance based. Like I want the belt. I'm better than you. Type stuff. And Ciampa's amazing. Just it's so much fun to watch.
I've seen his progression. Again, I saw him early on in Ring of Honor. He has progressed, as a wrestler, as an overall performer to such a degree that it's amazing. I give the Performance Center a lot of credit on what they did with him. The problem with the WWE is that they take these guys who are hot in NXT and they bring them up and they got nothing for them. Like Ember Moon. Ember Moon was fucking hot as hell in NXT. They brought her up, nothing. Bobby Roode, hot as hell in NXT. They brought him up, lukewarm. It's like, what are you guys doing? Just do what you were doing in NXT. It will translate globally to everyone. Trust me.
I think the problem I have is very simply it's creative. I mean,
It's Vince. It's not. I can't. I'm not even gonna blame. I'm not gonna blame the script writer who makes fucking $60,000 a year. I'm not gonna blame him. I'm not gonna sit here and blame Michael PSAs and the Road Dogg because they know fucking better. They know what they're doing, right? It's Vince. I can't even blame Stephanie because Stephanie's not even in that role anymore. It's all 100% the buck stops with Vince. And when you have a 70-year-old man,
yeah,
who was out of touch with contemporary anything since the 80s, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't know what's happening today. He doesn't know what's going on in the world today. He's not with it. He's not hip. Even Shane McMahon, who used to be hip in the 90s and the 2000s, he's an old man now too. What's he in his 40s, late 40s now? Early 50s? Especially, these are people of means, these are people of wealth. A lot of the times, especially when you get older, you live in a bubble. And, I don't really necessarily care that Shane McMahon wears Jordans to the ring. Because even that is still a product of the early 90s. It was like, come on, guys. Let's get with it. That's why I prefer to watch a show like, I think MLW is doing really well. If you guys watch that TV show, I think that's doing well. If you want something that's more storyline driven and more, you want to suspend disbelief, watch a Lucha Underground. They do a little bit more wild shit, but it's like, because it's Lucha Underground, they can get away with it. And then look what the Bucks and Cody are doing for All In. And those are just like, there's one match announced for that show. That's it. The NWA World Title match between Aldis and Cody, and it's booked old school because I think a lot of people, that's that element. I talked about this. Go back a year ago. And what did I say? If you're going to rebuild the NWA, you want to put the belt on Cody Rhodes because there's legacy there. Now, I said put it in a feud with Wes Briscoe versus Cody Rhodes because I think that's the right thing to do because it's both legacy guys. But, if you can't get that, Nick Aldis is a great champion. I like his presence. He comes across as a champion. He comes off like a Nick Bockwinkel or Ric Flair, and you have Cody, who is now the preeminent independent wrestler in the world, number one out there. There's a story to be told, and I can't wait to see 10 Pounds of Gold, where Cody talks about what the NWA Championship means to him and meant to his family.
Do you think we see him beat Aldis?
I think it depends. Okay, from a Mark standpoint, yes. From a Smart standpoint, there's a lot of things to consider. Would be his contract situations for Ring of Honor and New Japan, and see if they can do it that way. I don't have it in front of me. If I knew what his contract status, like say his Ring of Honor deal runs out like in September, or his Ring of Honor deal runs out at the end of this year, his New Japan deal runs out, and then he's going to take the bull by the horns, and along with him, Dave Lagana and Billy Corgan, going to build this NWA brand from the ground up. Then yeah, I can see it. There's a good possibility that it's going to go 60 minutes. And I think you'll see a 60-minute draw here.
Yeah.
If I had to put money on it, and I don't bet, I'm not a gambling man, because I don't like to lose. If I had to put money on it, I'm saying 60-minute draw. There's nothing else on that show in terms of a feud. You're going to see really good matchups, but I don't think you'll see necessarily big-time feuds. There's still some time. They got 3 months to go to build stuff. If this is going to be a super card of like all the best wrestlers that are not currently in the WWE are going to appear on this show, and that's what it looks like they're going for here, then yeah, that'll draw one. If they ever want to come back with that again and do a bigger arena or do sell more tickets, they're going to have to come back with some heat, with some angles attached to this thing.
Yeah,
because that novelty will go away real fast. It's what Ring of Honor did when Ring of Honor first started. Ring of Honor was the best. The king of the independents, basically the best independent wrestlers that you never thought would, fight each other, and they're doing their thing. That was what the early days of Ring of Honor were based on. Now it obviously has changed, and you can get away with that for a little bit, but you want to take more steps up. And I know we all know that Ring of Honor is their partner in this show.
Yeah,
we know this, and I think that will transition us to our next point. Which is, according to reports, all but confirmed at this point, that the WWE no longer has a stranglehold on Madison Square Garden. And I'm going through Twitter, and most people don't see this necessarily as a big deal. But for me, myself, from the WWF territory, I live in New York. I've been to the Madison Square Garden countless amount of time. To me, for me, this is a big fucking deal. No other wrestling company has ever run Madison Square Garden. Ever. Even back in the day with Toots Mont and Jess McMahon, I'm talking about Vince's grandpa. Vince's grandfather back in the fucking 20s. We were talking about how they were banned at a certain point. Even when the WWE or Capital Sports or whatever you want to call it lost TV in New York, they still ran the fucking Garden. And, that's a big deal because the Garden is the home of the WWE. They don't go there very often anymore. I don't know when was the last time we saw a Raw from Madison Square Garden. I don't even remember the last time there was a pay-per-view from the Garden. They still do, I think, about 3 to 4 house shows a year. Obviously, the people at the Garden, whose relationship, the owners of the Garden, their relationship with the Mans go way back. Even Garden shows used to be on HBO in the 70s. Their relationship goes back quite a ways. But they are upset at the fact that the WWE is running the Barclays, which is their biggest competition in the market in Brooklyn. Yeah. And they're doing major pay-per-views from the Barclays. They're doing Monday Night Raws from the Barclays, and they're not doing anything from the Garden. Now, the Garden's at fault here, too, because the Garden, and anyone who ever bought a ticket to the Garden know that running the Garden is a fucking hefty, hefty price. There's unions and stuff to deal with when you have to deal with, shooting television there. And it's a headache for the WWE to run there. Don't forget, guys, that the WWE used to run the Garden every 4 to 6 weeks. Consistently. For years. For years. The birthplace of WrestleMania. There's the birthplace of SummerSlam. It's a big fucking deal, and I think the people over at the Garden were hot that they're running the Barclays. So now the Garden has reached out to not only AAA, who, from what I understand, are scheduling a show to run there in September.
That'll be awesome.
It looks like, from all accounts, which seems to be confirmed, that Ring of Honor will be running a show in the Garden. And these are shows that are proper. We're not talking about the Paramount or the theater, which is what they call it now. This is MSG proper. And I'm sure they're giving them a heck of a deal. Sinclair doesn't care. The owners of Ring of Honor, Sinclair Broadcasting, they're technically, on paper, a bigger company than the WWE. They certainly have more money than them. And just to get the cachet of running a show in the Garden is a big deal. And even though they good possibility that they may lose money on it, I don't think they really give a shit. Especially when the rumors are out there that they're going to run the Garden WrestleMania weekend. WrestleMania will be MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. There's another bone of contention there, too, with Madison Square Garden, is that you're not running anything in the Garden while you're here. You have a Raw, a SmackDown, NXT, nothing. You're not giving us anything. So I can see why the Garden's being pissed. Think the way it's looking right now, they're going to let Ring of Honor run their WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah.
Which will take away if they're up against an NXT show. And now if I had to pick, and I'm not a big fan of the current roster of Ring of Honor right now, I got to be honest. Ring of Honor at the Garden, NXT at the Barclays, I think I'm running with Ring of Honor at Madison Square Garden. I definitely want to check out the first show, whether it be AAA or what have you. I'm definitely going to that because I think that's such a. I'm not getting an opportunity to go to All In, and I'm missing out on that historic night. I cannot miss out on another one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the Garden itself, for me, it's it's where my grandfather watched wrestling. It's a big fucking deal to me. I don't know what they're gonna do. We do cater to an old school audience here. I can tell by the demographics when I look up the demographics of these videos that we do. But if you're a younger fan and you're not like, this is a big deal, this is a big fucking deal. And the fact that it's not a bigger deal on the internet or on Twitter right now, to me is a little bit disheartening because it's I keep on saying it, but it's the Garden. What are you guys talking about? It's not another arena. It's literally, in most New Yorkers' eyes, it's the center of the goddamn universe.
Yeah.
And that's why that's a big deal. I think Vince is upset because his family, he is in the MSG Hall of Fame, and so is his father. So it's like, guys, that's a really big deal, momentous occasion. I hope both AAA and Ring of Honor sell it out. Just keep in mind this. WCW at its peak, you want to say 97, 98, they couldn't even get into the Garden. Now this is where WCW is clearly number one, and they couldn't even get in there. MSG stuck by the WWF even when they're going through lean times like in 94 and 95. There's a lot of personal feelings there, but when it comes down to business, it comes down to business. If I can get bigger shows, closer, from a selfish point of view, I can get bigger shows. Would it be a New Japan show here in Madison Square Garden? That's amazing. All In 2? Madison Square Garden? Yeah. Fucking amazing. Oh, yeah, man, that'd be fucking awesome. So for me, it's a bittersweet thing because although I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the WWE product in total, I'm a big fan of their wrestlers. I love their roster. A couple of notable exceptions, but I'm in love with their roster. All guys I would have chose to be on a roster if I was running a company. So I love the wrestlers they have. I'm not necessarily fond of some of their booking decisions. They have good matches, every once in a while. Again, that's more of a credit to the wrestlers than creative. But, I will be going to WrestleMania, hopefully, by hook or by crook. I went to the last one. I went to the one before that. I went to WrestleMania 20. I went to WrestleMania 29. And any of you guys who are interested in coming to New York for WrestleMania, New Jersey, let's be honest here. If people don't know geography, MetLife Stadium is super close to New York City. It's not far. I understand it's in a whole different state, but you're crossing a bridge. Come on, guys. But they're gonna, if you're gonna come to New York in April, maybe late March, I don't know if we got a date for it yet. Bring a fucking sweatshirt because that shit is cold. Check this out. WrestleMania 29, right? It starts drizzling a little bit. I don't know if you can see it on when you watch it on the WWE network, but it starts to drizzle and it's cold. And I'm like, screw this. I go inside because where my seats were was awesome because we had our own private concession stands and food and that kind of stuff. So I went inside to buy a fucking sweatshirt, and they were fucking sold out of sweatshirts. So I had to buy a WrestleMania blanket. Like some sort of fucking old man. I'm sitting there with my WrestleMania blanket fucking shivering.
I will say, it happens to us all. I was at a game at Fenway Park in early April years ago, and it was freezing, and they only had like sweatshirts for like $75. I was like, I had that shirt for years. I wore it till it fell apart. I was like, I spent $75 on this goddamn thing. I'm wearing it. So you and your old man blanket are okay.
Well, mind you, I had to leave the fucking stadium with this blanket too, and I look kind of ridiculous. Not as ridiculous as me walking around fucking Penn Station with a metal folding chair that we got for WrestleMania fucking tournament. You know, I wish everyone who runs the Garden luck. You know, I hope to see some really great shows moving forward, you know, in my area. Next up, wrestler spotlight. And first, we're going to talk about my man and your man, Roddy Piper.
All right, fans, my guest at this time is the very controversial host of Piper's Pit. He is from Glasgow, Scotland. His name, Howard, just a second. Could you hand me that chair? Roddy Piper, I kind of appreciate the way that you do business on Piper's Pit.
Well,
and I thought...
well, let me grab a chair of my own here.
Well, sure. Well, sit down.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, don't kill a good thing here, Howard.
Yeah. I just thought I'd come around, say hi, and see if you had anything on your mind for a change. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I do. But you know what I'm going to do?
Hi.
I'm going to be a nice guy. I'm not going to insult you.
Who's this? Junkyard dog. Giraffe. You're not going to insult me. Okay, then.
You know, Roddy, I'd like to have you tell me about Glasgow. I hear so many good things about Glasgow, Scotland.
Okay, I'll tell you about Glasgow. They have filthy rivers. They have nasty, nasty countryside. They have horrible, horrible people. That's why I left. Now tell me about Poland.
Well, what would you like to know about Poland?
Why did you leave?
Well, let's forget that. I'm going to ask you. This is not Piper's Pit.
No,
I'm the host of this. You know, one thing though that I would like to discuss with you is maybe a sore subject. It's a gentleman by the name of...
I know Hot Rod's been tired lately. Go ahead, I don't mind.
Mr. Wonderful, Wonderful,
yeah.
Paul Orndorff.
Oh, Mr. Wonderful.
All of a sudden, now I get a rise out of you. After we talked about you. Now I get a rise out of you.
It's hard to get a rise from me. Mr. Wonderful.
I've heard.
Mr. Wonderful, you heard that he's wonderful. You've been talking to the apes and the giraffes and chimpanzees again, haven't you? Mr. Wonderful, I think to myself, sometimes late at night I'll lay back in my bed, I'll close my eyes. He won't even cross my mind. Not a damn thing about him. The other day, though, I was in a store, people were talking, never mentioned his name.
Are you starting to lose your hair?
Am I what?
Well, I see you've got a little receding hairline there.
You'd be an expert at it, wouldn't you? I mean, you would know if someone was starting to lose their hair, wouldn't you? Tell me something. Did you start to lose your hair on the top of your head all over?
Yes. Well, not actually all over.
Not actually all over. No,
just on the top of my head.
Just on the top of your head. That just comes with time. Now, Orndorff, he's got lots of hair. If you're looking at him from the north end going south.
Yeah, he was all right. I think Piper was a big part of the reason wrestling took off. You know, the old storyline about you're only as good as your villain for a hero, you know, and he was great. He was bombastic. You know, maybe a what if is if it wasn't Piper, who would have been the next person that could have done what he did?
I don't even know. Maybe Flair. But
I'll tell you who. Terry Funk.
Oh, of course.
We have Mr. Terry Funk, the greatest doggone cowboy I ever seen in my life, between you and Ace, and it's a pleasure to have you here. Please sit down if you wish.
I'll just stand because I'm here to talk about dogs.
And I know you know a lot about dogs, too. I know all kinds of different dogs, man. My daddy told me that a dog is a dog and a junkyard dog is no dog at all.
Very smart man, Papa is, man.
It's just a clown, a buffoon. And that's exactly what the junkyard dog is. You know, hey, Ace has branded over 1,000 cattle in his life.
Yeah?
I've branded thousands of cattle.
What do they say? What do they sound like when you brand them, man? When you put that hot fire on them? Is that it?
Do you know what kind of noise the JYD's gonna make when I put the branding iron on him?
No.
He is going to go, hee-haw, hee-haw.
As in jackass.
He is a jackass.
You know, when I come to think of it, I ain't never seen someone like him riding on a horse wearing a cowboy hat either, man.
Neither have I. And when I have a chance at the junkyard dog, all he is a pig nose, big eye, arrogant. And when I get up to him, I'm going to brand him not once, but I'm going to brand him for good.
Oh, that's nice!
Terry Funk. I mean, because if he was going to be allowed to be a bad guy.
Yeah. No, I don't think anyone, and we're talking about national wrestling, right? We're talking about,
Right.
I'm talking about territory wrestling. I'm talking about on a national scale. I don't think anyone has ever generated as much heat as Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper debuted in 1969. They say 1969, but I don't know if that's legitimate. His first professional match was with Larry Hennig, which ended up in Piper getting defeated in 30 seconds. Essentially, he was a jobber in the AWA for a while, NWA Central States, the Maritimes, and worked Texas for Paul Bosch in Houston. Spent some time in Dallas, really early on, but it wasn't until Piper went to NWA Hollywood and the Los Angeles territory, where he really, it all came together for him.
Champion Moondog.
Okay, we're sitting down here in L.A. I wish I was in Frisco so I could talk to the people right now. Roddy Piper, you've had it. You've had it. You got something in here, I understand. Coming up on the 29th, right? Huh? Something of a match. Something of a match. And you know what? He broke two of my teeth last match. And I'll tell you, Piper, you insulted them people in Frisco. And they are my people. But the 29th, you ain't going to be there for one reason. Because after we get through with the match, they're going to send you back to Scotland. And the match, something about a Scottish fling, is that what it's called? A ling? Huh? Is that what it's... Big mouth. That's all you are, man, is a big mouth. You want to know what a Scottish fling match is, man? Well, I'm going to let you in on a secret, you ugly old goat. I'm going to let you on a... You don't you get in our way. I'll fight you right now, man, except you got all these... Yeah, well, you just listen to me, man. You just listen to me good. I'll tell you what a Scottish death match, man, is. When I was a little tiny boy, brother, way back over the seas, they used to have matches. I was a champion. You know what my daddy used to make me do? He would make me go with any wrestler, and any wrestler who could last 20 minutes with me, I would give him my championship. And you know what, Moondog, man? There wasn't a wrestler around, brother, that could last 20 minutes with me, Moondog, man. And let me tell you something, brother. You think you're so damn tough? Well, I'll tell you something, Moondog, man. Let's just switch it around a little bit, brother. You think you're so tough? You say you're the U.S. champion, even though I am the U.S. champion, Moondog, man. I'll tell you what. If I can't beat you in 20 minutes, Moondog, man, you can keep your stinking title, Moondog, man. But one more thing, because I know you think you got it all your way, brother. If I beat you, Moondog, man, never again can you show that ugly bass face of yours in the Cow Palace, Moondog, man. Yeah, you say okay, Moondog, man. You ugly old goat. Well, let me tell you something. You ain't gonna stand a chance, Moondog, man. Moondog, man, I think you're insane with a face like a bass. Personally, you're a pain in the... Moondog, man, you listen to me, brother. I am going to be in there when I was a young boy, and my daddy used to put me in there. You know what he would do if I lost? He would beat the hell out of me. That's what he would do. That's why I never lost, Moondog Man. You don't know what it's like to have to scrape for food, Moondog Man. Everybody's fed you all your life, Moondog Man. Well, they ain't fed me, Moondog Man, and you're going to find out. You're going to find out. Don't you lay your hands on me. Let me tell you. Okay. Let me tell him. The only thing his dad made him do was drink water out of the toilet. Because I'll tell you on the 29th, there's no way, Piper, that I'll lose that belt. I promised them people there. Hey, Piper, get up. You think you're so damn tough? Come on, man, get up. Hey, Moondog, no. Wait till the 29th. Wait till the 29th for the compound. Come on. Come on, Piper. Wait till the compound. Not here. Got it, Piper. I won't let you people down, I guarantee you. The 29th, Piper, I'm going to shove this chair right up your... I promise you. I won't let you down, because you're my people and you supported me. Piper, you're a rat. You did nothing but cheat on me. I've got a couple contracts with him down here in L.A., but I'll tell you what, they're finished. They're finished because he's a rat. While I'm in the ring, I know for a fact he steals money out of my pocket. That's what kind of person he is. Piper, you've had it. And this chair, or whatever I can get a hold of, anything I can get a hold of, is going to tear his head off. Moondog, when he says, get your umbrella out, baby, get it out, because it's going to rain. Well, wrestling fans, it happens this Saturday night, July 29th, at the Cow Palace. Moondog Mayne doesn't win. He can never come back to the Cow Palace again. Wrestling fans, do your part. Come on down to the Cow Palace. Support him. Plus, the Superman of Wrestling, Mil Moskris, at the Cow Palace, Saturday the 29th.
No, his feud with the Guerreros, completely insane. You know, drew big money over there, fucking getting fucking heat.
Mean and mean, brother. I am back, Jack. Hector Guerrero, I have fought your brother. I have fought your father. I have fought your mother. I have fought everybody in your family, Hector Guerrero. But I am still here, Hector Guerrero. But I'll tell you one thing. We have a contest that is not only going to be a contest, Hector Guerrero, it is going to be a bloodbath, Hector Guerrero, because you have been a bigger pain in my side, Hector Guerrero, than any one of the stinking Guerreros. And let me tell you something. I ain't going to go for it lightly, Hector Guerrero, because you know who I am. You sit at home with your fat bellies and your construction boats, drinking your beer. You know who I am. You know that I am one of the finest athletes in the world today. And Hector Guerrero, you are going to find out just how fine I am, brother, while all you are out there are laughing at and joking at the lean, mean machine, brother. I'm going to be in there with you, smoking and poking, brother.
Especially when Piper would come out and like, oh, I want to play the Mexican national anthem on the bagpipes, and he plays the cucaracha instead and almost gets fucking murdered for it.
Locker room interview time. Let's bring in Roddy Piper, the man that's got everything at stake.
Everything at stake. I have my whole life at stake. Chavo Guerrero, did you see what I just did to Hector? I had him by the neck, and he was choking. Chavo Guerrero, I'm going to do the same thing to you. This is it. But I am not as stupid as you are, Chavo Guerrero. I have this man, the devil. The devil will be in my corner, Chavo Guerrero. Yes, loser, leave town, Chavo Guerrero. But as if that's not enough, this man will be in my corner, and this pain, Chavo, is going to be around your neck, Chavo Guerrero. I'm going to kill you, Chavo Guerrero. I am fed up to here with you, Chavo Guerrero. You look at me, ladies and gentlemen, you look at me. Take a good oath. Take a good look at me, damn it. Look what you did to me, Guerrero. You think I'm going to put up with this? You think Chavo Guerrero You think I'm gonna put up with this? You're the most ignorant man I have ever met in my life, Guerrero. You think that I'm gonna take this, man? I can take your eyes out, girl. I can take your eyes out whenever I want to, Guerrero. I'm gonna beat you on the head with this chain, Guerrero. I'm gonna beat you like you've never been beat before. You think I'm just playing games, Guerrero? You think I'm out here just playing games? Well, I remember, Guerrero. I hate you so much, Guerrero. I hate you so much I want to kill you, Guerrero. You think you're gonna do this to my pretty face? My pretty face? You think you're gonna do this? No, sirree, brother. It's all on the line, Chavo Guerrero. I am the America's Tag Team Champion. I am the Jules Strongbow Scientific Champion. I am the TV Champion. Chavo Guerrero. Roddy Piper, the lean, mean machine, is the king, Chavo Guerrero. I'm gonna take this chain, brother. I'm gonna beat you on the head, Chavo Guerrero. I'm gonna beat you on the head like you've never been beaten before, Guerrero. You think you're tough? Wait till you see this, Chavo Guerrero. Just take a look at this. You look at that. Look at that. Look! That's gonna be your head, Chavo. Maybe I'm gonna take your head. Give me my head. Give me my Chavo Guerrero. Maybe I'm gonna take your head, Chavo. Take a good look at Chavo Guerrero. Hey, Chavito! What's wrong with you, Chavito? When I take this chain and beat it over your head, Chavito, and beat it again, Chavo. Oh, Chavo! What happened? I hate you so much. I hate you so much, Guerrero. I want to kill you, and I'm going to kill you, Guerrero. I am the king, and that's it, and I mean it. Guerrero, you are leaving town. I hate you, Guerrero.
This man is insane. Chavo, he's crazy. You better watch out.
Sure, it's crazy. And it might be primitive. And it might be backwards. And what I'm talking is about this chain. Only cavemen used to wrestle with weapons. Well, this is the way I want it because so much is at stake. And just let me take out a little bit of your time just to show you how important this match is and why I wanted it in a cage match. First of all, you got every title that in Southern California is going to be on the line. The America's Tag Team title that is only defended in tag teams will be up for this only time, the first time. The America's Heavyweight title, the TV Championship, and of course the Jules Strongbow Scientific Trophy. But probably most important of all, look at this little piece of paper here. This is nothing but a referee's license. A referee's license that means so much. Well, I'm going to take the privilege of tearing this referee's license because we're not going to be needing it anymore. Or should I say, Piper, you're not going to be needing it anymore. Because when I get through with you, when I wrap this chain around my head, when I use it against you, you think your face is bad now? Well, you wait till I finish with this chain. You're going to have to need plastic surgery, which will be a great help for you. Let me tell you, you think you hate me? Well, I don't necessarily love you, Piper. I don't necessarily love you. Why did I choose a chain match? Because you know every trick to any other match, a cage match, a Mexican death match. You know them all. Well, now we're going to be wrapped around in a cage match, and you're right. It is bloody, and it is gory, and it is everything else. But this is the only way. The loser will leave town. The winner can stay, enjoy victory, enjoy the glory, enjoy the fans, enjoy the trophies. But the loser must be humiliated and get out of here forever. So if I can't do the job, Piper, then I'm leaving town. And if you want to have the devil there with you, well, you have him, because this is all I need. 15 feet of this chain, that's all I need. And all I need to do is just give you a little bit of lashes. I can do it too, and I can do it meaner because I chose the type of match. Now, let me tell you, I'm going to go out. I know that I might get injured for life, but that doesn't matter. Because, believe me, I'm going to do everything in my power to retire you. I've had matches with you, Piper, but this is it. This is the one. You're going to get it. You're going to get it.
Boy, you heard it. This is the showdown, wrestling fans. And what a showdown it is. And you know what? I am going to tell you all about it coming up right now.
So he's there for a while. Again, he's the top guy in NWA Hollywood. By 1979, he goes over to Don Owens' Portland Wrestling, Pacific Northwest territory. He went to Portland and kind of never left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even when he went to like WWF, he still wouldn't be on cards that were on oppositions to Don Owens because, in Piper's eyes, I think he felt that Don Owens was like a father figure to him. He lived in Portland basically for the rest of his life at that point. So.
Ain't gonna bet a young kid you're beating up in there, and you ain't gonna be able to take advantage of me Tuesday like that, brother, because you want to put your sticking car up. I'll tell you what, Buddy Rose, the staking out is over, brother. I don't need no more staking out. I don't need no more nothing. I spend my times in the gym, Buddy Rose, and I'm more ready for you than I have ever been in my life. You want to put up your car? You put your stinking car up, Buddy Rose, and I'll leave town if I lose. But one thing, Buddy Rose. I'm going to bring in a special referee, the first man's hair that you ever cut is Red Bastine, and he's going to be the referee. You look at that. You stink, Rose. You listen to me, Buddy Rose. I ain't going to be no young kid Tuesday, Buddy Rose. Portland has done a lot for me, and it's my turn to do something for Portland, Buddy Rose. Come Tuesday the 15th. Come Tuesday the 15th, Buddy Rose, your face will be red from the lack of hair on your head, Buddy Rose. Portland, this one is for you, brother.
Again, teaming with Killer Tim Brooks and Rick Martel, they won the NWA Pacific Northwest Tag Team Championship. You know, he would feud over the Pacific Northwest Heavyweight Championship with Jonathan Boyd and Playboy Buddy Rose, and him and Rose had fucking fantastic fucking chemistry in those matches. So, and then Piper would split his time in 1980 and 1983 in both Mid-Atlantic and Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Ringside, Roddy Piper, very sneaky, very dirty trick you pulled on Jerry Briscoe.
Well, that's about 3 times I've heard you say, very sneaky, very dirty trick I pulled on Jerry Briscoe. You see, the thing is, there's all kinds of people that come up here and talk and say, well, I hurt this guy in Chicago. I hurt this guy in Minneapolis. I hurt this guy in Iowa. I hurt this guy in Biafra. But you see, when Roddy Piper wants to do something, he does it right here on television, national television. Mid-Atlantic goes all over the place just to see. You see, that's why wrestlers fear Roddy Piper. That's why Jack Briscoe's knees tremble when he hears the word Roddy Piper. All of a sudden, his little brother's all hurt. That's why Wahoo McDaniels trembles. That's why Don Morocco trembles. That's why every last one of them is afraid of Roddy Piper. And can you blame him? Because would you want to fight me? Of course you wouldn't want to fight me, would you? No, and that's how everybody feels, because I'm just the cream on your mashed potatoes, brother. I'm just what I want to be. You see, there's nobody better than me.
Let me say, we've got a tape of that. I think the fans ought to see that again. I want everybody to see exactly what you did.
I'd like to see him.
Fans, let's watch this right now.
Check it out.
Here it is. Watch this. Here's Jerry Briscoe. In his match.
Oh, he's doing
no reason for Roddy Piper to interfere at all here.
He's doing great. You see, no reason for Roddy Piper to interfere. What a bunch of baloney. You see, these guys have been mouthing off, saying how great they are, saying what I am, talking about how great their figure 4 is. Here he is taking advantage of a fella who I don't really care about.
Tony Russo.
Tony Russo.
Watch him when he gets his figure 4 on.
Okay, let's watch him when he gets his figure 4 on. Nice move. The only thing is, you see, I have the counter to the figure 4. That's the difference between, we're talking science. What we're talking about is we're talking about Roddy Piper. We're not talking about any kind of goofball in the alley. I have got the counter to this. Jerry Briscoe coming here.
They're still locked up. Watch right here. Off of that top rope. Right down on the knee.
Yes, I guess so, right down the knee. Look at that Fargo trying to get in my way. You see, that's why nobody gets in my way. And all of a sudden, Jack Briscoe comes out, a roaring and a raving like a lion. But you notice he doesn't come out when I'm there. You notice he doesn't come out when I'm standing in the ring. And all of a sudden, Jack Briscoe's down there, and he's holding on to his little brother, and his little brother's leg is all mangled big. And you know what? There were these humongous tears crying out of Jack Briscoe's eyes. There's Jerry Briscoe. He's crying. There's Tony Russo. He's crying. And so what I'm trying to say is the only guy that's got any substance amongst the whole batch of us is me. You see, because I don't have to fear nobody. I'm starting to take them on 2 at a time. I'm hurting people all over the place. And you know why I'm hurting people? Because I'm sick and tired of people picking on me. People backstabbing on me. Did you see me come out there? I look like Superman. I was lying. You see, that's why I sounds like thunder and I moves like lightning, Mr. Briscoe. You come out here and say you can have a shot at this title anytime you want to, but you are lying to the people because I want it and you won't give it to me. But as I've said before, ever since you've been this high, you wanted to grow up to be a great wrestler. Well, Mr. Briscoe, I've said it before, you should have concentrated on growing up to be a man.
You can see a lot of that footage on the WWE network, but Piper in Georgia is always fascinating to me because he was the first heel commentator, not just for Georgia. He was a heel commentator in Georgia, and he would feud with Bob Armstrong and Dick Slater and Tommy Rich, and then he turned babyface.
And I can't help but feel that he has a lot of conflicts within himself, be it because of his environmental background or what, I don't know. But he is a man of many inner conflicts. I do know that. I would also like to say that if it were not for Roddy Piper here last week, there's a good possibility I wouldn't be here this week. Because for the first time in my life, I really felt very, very threatened by this magnificent Morocco. And again, let's take a look at this man, Roddy Piper, and what he did do that makes him really such an enigma in his own way. Let's take a look at what happened last week.
I've been associated with you. I never heard you tell anybody. I was the first one to reverse the figure four ever. I haven't wrestled NWA World Champion since 1950. Yeah, you never get on Piper's case. You never done nothing about Piper. All you ever want to do is get out of here. You never done. All you ever say is Tommy Rich. I hear about Dusty Rhodes. I hear about Roddy Piper. What a fine athletic background he's got. I hear Paperwalk. Oh yeah. Everything else. I said, you know something? You know something? Hey, you...
Oh, now, Chester. Welcome back to World Championship Wrestling, Roddy Piper. Roddy, welcome aboard.
Well, Mr. Soley, it's nice to be back. You see, all of a sudden, what they're trying to do is, you see, this is what's left of Don Morocco here. We got a nice hat of Don Morocco, and they're trying to kick me off. They're trying to fire me again from TV because I caused all kinds of trouble. Well, that's okay. It'll only be the 43rd time I've been fired from something. How you doing? Yeah, so they're trying to do all kinds of things because Morocco is all of a sudden mad at me.
Well, I wouldn't exactly say mad, maybe a little upset. It's amazing. All the time I've seen you've always been on TV, always right here, flapping your jaws. I made a little statement. Oh, look, you get your hands in your pocket.
Yeah, because I'm not afraid of anything, yeah.
You know, it's funny. A lot of people really think a lot of you, and I guess with all those little cute remarks, you're a pretty smart guy. But if you watch the TV, I don't know where you were, but I'll tell you what happened. I didn't like really what you did to me, and so I just very kindly would ask, and did ask at that time, for an apology, and I ask for it again now. An apology, that's all. Then we forget about everything.
An apology?
I'll go home.
An apology?
An apology.
For what?
Well, maybe you don't remember. I'll refresh your memory. Last week, you hit me, you know, maybe once, maybe twice, I don't know.
I wasn't here last week.
Oh, 2 weeks ago?
Oh, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, now I'm sorry. Now you're going to make... I forget, huh?
Well, I
don't care. No, okay. All I'm saying is, you make the apology, and everything is forgiven.
You know, the way I figured is this: if you would have minded your own business in the first place, you wouldn't need to be asking for an apology. And so you just simple as this: you just stay out of my way, pig face, and you won't have to worry about nothing, man. Pig face? Hey! Purple! Hey, no, ooh, don't give me that crap, ooh. You tell him or you tell anybody else, you don't be talking to me like that. And
And he doesn't be talking to me like that. And you get his fat butt out of here, and I'll make sure we'll see you there.
Basically, after an extended period of time of being, broadcast partners with Gordon Soley, and Don Morocco and Ole Anderson were going to beat up Gordon Soley, and then Piper came for the save.
Yeah.
And then it made him, if you're going to save the people in Georgia and in Florida loved Gordon Soley so much that it made fucking Piper a babyface. Piper would be a heel and he would be a babyface in Mid-Atlantic. Well, first he had a feud with Sergeant Slaughter that was amazing. He feuded with Ric Flair. And then everyone remembers the dog collar match at Starrcade '83 with Rick Valentine. Phenomenal stuff. He also did that summer, which is weird. No one ever talks about it. He did dog collar matches with Buzz Sawyer in Georgia too around the same time. So over that summer in '83, he's doing dog collar matches with the Buzz Sawyer, which I wish I could see.
Yeah, there's a lot of people got a lot on their mind. Everybody thinks they can beat the Mad Dog, because if they can beat the Mad Dog, there's somebody. You got Pesley, you got Rich, you got Piper. Everybody thinks there's somebody, but nobody is like the Mad Dog.
Well, talking about Mr. Piper, I do have...
Oh, you probably got something of him on film again, because that's all he's worth, is looking at him right on film. He's not man enough to look at the Mad Dog in his face.
We do, as a matter of fact, have a previously recorded videotaped interview of Roddy Piper, so why don't we turn to that at this moment. Take a look at the monitor and we'll see what he has to say right now. All right.
Well, Hot Rod here. Heard all kinds of interesting things that Buzz Sawyer had to say the other day. Talking about Roddy Piper. Talking about how he is worldwide championship wrestling. Hot Rod here. Yeah. Says Piper's nothing but a has-been. Well, you see, let me tell you something, boy. While your mama was sending you to college, become a great amateur wrestler, while she was more peanut butter on your sandwich, Buzzy. Are you okay, Buzzy? While she was whisking you off to school, Jack, I was on my own making myself a living being a professional wrestler. 29 years old now, in my prime. You think I ain't paid some dues, Jack? I've been to the whipping post more than once. I've had Valentine. I can't hear out of this ear no more. It don't work. Of course, I don't suppose you'd know what that's like. Because you can't hear out of either one of them, obviously, because you keep talking to all these folks. But all kinds of baloney. You see, only thing kept me out of college, brother, was high school. Went to the school of hard knocks. Black and blues the colors, Jack. You see, Piper's been a has-been. You see, what you don't understand is this. There's a short story. Goes like this, Sawyer. There's two bulls standing on top of the hill. An old bull and a young bull. Young bull says, let's run down there and get us a date to them cows. Old bull says, let's walk down there and get us a date with all them cows. You see, the difference is, when he have hunting dogs, brother, I don't always listen. See ya, Sawyer.
So Piper did spend some time in the WWF. In 1979, he had 3 matches. There's a famous story where Freddie Blassie stuffed Piper's bagpipes with toilet paper so they wouldn't play in front of the Garden crowd, and then he was never invited back.
Who did this?
Classy Freddie Blassie. But by 1984, Piper could not be the 9, and basically, by, I guess, the second week of January, the TVs were weird because Piper is still doing stuff at Crockett in January '83, so it looks like he came in around the second week of January in '83, he's on. I think he's on the show where Hogan wins the belt. So again, it's right around that time.
You now to Gene Okerlund.
Well, I thank you very much, Vince McMahon. I'm cornering these two gentlemen en route to the locker room. Dr. David Schultz, very impressive victory.
Always impressive, baby. Always putting people down. Always beating the big heavyweight. All the mean people. I'm getting rough on them, getting nasty with them. They told me the competition was here. They told me the greatest wrestlers in the world was here. If that's an example of great wrestlers, baby, I'm going to walk over them like a steamroller. Because I ain't taking time. I ain't going for it. I want some competition. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're going to find it in the...
Well, you talk to my man now. It's as simple as this. We are the generation that is prime time now. We did not come here to play no games. Tino Santana sitting around in the cornfields of Michigan, riding around on your burro. You got Tony Atlas and the other DJ, Rocky Johnson, flexing, kissing each other. Hulk Hogan sitting up there trying to stop
You got 9 backless, fall back on the round. You use them in the dish pan.
Gentlemen.
Let me tell you something, brother.
I'm sorry.
On the street.
We are all out of time. We're going to get you back to more action. Gentlemen, I am sorry.
Obviously, he starts out, being a manager for Dr. D. David Schultz and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. And then he stopped being a manager, started wrestling full time. Obviously, they started the Piper's Pit, which, there's so many memorable segments from there. There's actually, speaking of Terry Funk, you mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
There's a segment with fucking Terry Funk and Roddy Piper that's fucking amazing. And I wish we were able to see, in their prime, Terry Funk versus Roddy Piper, because that would be fucking awesome. Obviously, everyone remembers the Piper Jimmy Snuka with the coconut. I'm not going too deep into there.
Very simple. All of a sudden, we got a bunch of people writing in. This guy here comes, I don't know, maybe comes sniveling to the people, comes and cries, Roddy Piper didn't give me a chance to say nothing on the pit. Roddy Piper didn't give me a chance to do nothing. You want a chance? Everybody wants to be like Roddy Piper. You want a chance? You want a chance to say something, brother? I'll tell you what, man. Here you go. Take the little microphone. There you go. There you go. Put it in the little greasy paws. You want to do something? Then you go ahead. You say exactly what you want to say to these people. You can do. Just a second. I want you to wait a second. I want to make you feel at home. Before we start, you want to be the big shot. You want to do all the talking. You want to really think. All these people. Got yourself a pineapple. Want you feel at home. Want you feel like the Fiji Islands. Kind of like the women, Kind of long, frosty hair on top, round on the bottom. Got your pineapple. You want to be a happy person? What do you want, huh? What do you want? You want bananas? You want to talk? Go ahead and talk, huh? Go ahead and talk. Wait a second. Wait. You want bananas? We want bananas. We got bananas. Here we go. You want bananas? Have yourself a banana. Huh? This is what you want. You want to talk? You ain't saying nothing. What's wrong, huh? You want to come up here like a big shot? What do you want? You want coconuts. Here I went. I got your coconuts. Just like, there you go. One coconut. Two coconuts. More coconuts. You want to be a big shot. You want to go, wait a second. Bananas and coconuts. You want to be a big shot. You know what? The only thing I didn't get a tree for you to climb up and down like a monkey, like you want to do. You want to be a big shot? I'll get you a tree next time. You want a banana? Have a banana. What do you want, man? You think? Am I making fun of you? Oh, no, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Come on,
But yeah, he hit fucking Jimmy so fucking hard with that coconut. It's completely awesome. Again, he had matches with Bruno Sammartino, which led to steel cage matches, and then they go right into the feud with Hogan, and that involves Cyndi Lauper. So you're right in your rock and wrestling connection here. They do the War to Settle the Score, which is essentially an MSG house show that was broadcast. I think the final 2 matches were broadcast on MTV, but you actually can see the whole show because they showed it on the MSG network.
But they're afraid to really come and say it to my face. I sit here with my back to you because I figured possibly somebody out there would at least like a chance. Hulk Hogan said something about it's the size of the fight in the dog. I ain't never been compared to no dog. I don't come from no dog. They says, you kick Cyndi Lauper, and how could you kick a woman? I says, I'm an equal opportunist. That, a woman hits me, I'll knock her out. It doesn't matter to me. It says you took that poor old fat Slav Lou Albano, the captain. Remember the little tiny bowl man? I got a job. I got a little ship for you, Captain. Remember in the bowl where the bowl used to go around? I'm supposed to feel bad because I kicked accidentally this woman that grabbed a hold of me, and I go and I nail this big fat slob who has been calling you all kinds of names for years, and now because he does something good for muscular dystrophy, everybody's behind him. And then I look over, and this skinny little geek, this skinny little guy, who's Wendy, or Cyndi Lauper, whatever her name is, her boyfriend, her, whatever she is. I took him and I power slammed him, and here comes New York's finest in Madison Square Garden. Policemen turn in their badges when I come to town. And I look over and I see that Jimmy Snuka, he can't run down, you see, because my bodyguard, Ace is there. I love my bodyguard. And Ace has got all kinds of weapons in his hand. He's got chairs. He's watching my back. And all of a sudden, I see Dick Clark. And Dick Clark comes and takes 2 steps towards me. Like he thought he was going to do something to me. Him selling all them facial products. Can you imagine him do something to hot rod himself, Roddy Piper? The only thing you'd be good for after that is maybe playing the organ deep down in some opera house. You remember the Phantom of the Opera? The one with the face all twisted around. And they say, Roddy, how could you be so bad? And I say, even at my worst, I'm best. And while my bodyguard is doing his job, and he's keeping Jimmy Snuka, the Superfly, away and Legend of Wrestling. In sneaks Hulk Hogan. Like he's going to do something to me, huh? In sneaks Hulk Hogan in all his glory, but did you notice when he come in and he looked eye to eye, all of a sudden he stopped just for a moment. He really wasn't sure whether he should come or not. I don't blame you. I am the legend killer. If you're drowning in a river, I'm the kind of guy that'll throw you a rope. I'll throw you both ends.
You have your WrestleMania 1 with your tag team matches. Got in a real life feud with Mr. T. And I will credit the boxing match, Piper versus Mr. T at WrestleMania 2, and what turned Piper babyface. Because I think a lot of the fans that thought Piper was representing wrestling, and he had this fake actor trying to encroach in the territory and encroach in, kind of trying to make wrestling look bad. And if you watch that match over again, fucking Mr. T is so fucking gassed. And, from the looks of it, fucking Roddy had some skills, some boxing skills. So if you listen closely to the end of that match, you can hear the crowd at the Nassau Coliseum chanting Roddy's name. So I think that was what kind of spurred on his face turn when he returned from his leave of absence. I think he was probably doing a movie. I think most likely it was They Live. Yeah, They Live, which is fucking... that's a fucking movie right there.
It's a classic.
Yeah. Piper would come back and he would feud with Adrian Adonis, who had started up the flower shop in his absence. They would have Piper would have a retirement match at WrestleMania 3, which was the hair versus hair match, which Piper won, and they shaved Adrian Adonis. Also in that match, Brutus Beefcake turns babyface and cuts Adonis's hair, which led to his gimmick as the barber.
Yes.
Piper wouldn't return to the WWF until 1989 at WrestleMania 5, where he does that segment with Brother Love and Morton Downey Jr.
Yeah,
when he sprayed him down with the fire extinguisher. After that, basically, he was co-hosting Primetime Wrestling, which is really weird. They go back and watch those Primetime shows where it's Bobby, Gorilla, and Piper. Those are really weird. But it does lead up to a feud with Ravishing Rick Rude, which Piper kind of cost Ravishing Rick Rude the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam '89. They would have a couple of matches. I remember this one match. I remember watching it live. It was an MSG house show. Again, I had the MSG network. It was Piper versus Rude in the cage. I remember Rude blood buckets in that match. He would go on to feud with Bad News Brown, where they did the thing where he painted himself half black, which is weird and probably racist. Blackface in general is probably not a good idea when you add some of the antics that Piper did in that match too. You kind of look at it and, with a modern sensibility, like, oh, yeah, it was a double count out too. He would be out for a while, and he would come back and do essentially commentary. He would come back and be in Virgil's corner, and he helped Virgil with his feud with the $1 Million Man. And then he came back basically to full-time wrestling right around the time that Ric Flair came in. His feud with Ric Flair when Ric Flair came to the WWF. Defeated the Mountie at a Royal Rumble 92. And then had that amazing match at WrestleMania 8 with Bret Hart, which is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
After that, in terms of WWE, his appearances are sparse. He does guest referee at WrestleMania 10 in the match between Bret Hart and Yokozuna. He would do various appearances every once in a while. Comes back as the president of the WWF right after Vader attacked Gorilla Monsoon. He has a match with Goldust, which is weird, at WrestleMania 12, where they kind of intercut footage with the O.J. Simpson fucking chase in that fucking match. And they had the the Hollywood Backlock Brawl, which, again, is... After that, he goes to WCW, reignites his feud with Hulk Hogan, gets a win on Hogan. I believe that was the Starrcade. It was not a title match, though. He probably should have won the belt there, to be completely honest, but... his WCW stuff, other than the stuff where Hogan was relatively weak, come back every once in a while. Like he would come back and help Vince McMahon and his match with Hulk Hogan, where he ran in and hit Hulk Hogan in the head with a pipe. Did a couple of appearances for TNA. Comes back with the WWE. Does end up like out of nowhere winning the World Tag Team Championship with Ric Flair, like 2006. Which is very weird, but again, it's an unpredictable moment. And then he would be with the company on and off, essentially up until his death. So,
yeah.
So he ended up passing away in 2015, and I think it's sad. As we get older, and a lot more of our kind of heroes kind of start fading away and disappearing. But a wrestler like Roddy Piper will always be in our hearts. So he's definitely one of my favorites of all time. So, but Matt, what are your thoughts on good old Roddy?
Always enjoyed his stuff, and I do think at certain times, he was underutilized. But I think he was one of those guys that he changed the sport. He changed the industry. So, guys like that are really rare, and he did so much. And I think, you look at how he transformed. Like, if you had something now, like for example, if you had someone like CM Punk, I'm trying to think of a bad guy right now that'd be good to use. Miz is heroic. Yeah, it could be heroic. Because I do think Miz, if they wanted to put him as a hero, it could make it totally work.
Totally work. He could be a babyface.
Especially like if he was going against, let's say for sake of argument, Miz is going against Brock Lesnar, and Brock's doing the typical Brock thing. Because what I always think about is who are they going to put Brock against that can force him to have a different kind of match?
Yeah.
Because right now, everyone who works Brock has a Brock match.
They do Germans.
F5, and that really, to me, is a waste. You're not really engaging the fans. No one's like, yeah.
it comes to a certain point where you've been a heel for so long that the people want to turn you babyface. And I think they were so entertained by Piper.
Yeah.
That he couldn't be a heel no more. And every other time that he was a heel, it didn't work. Like he was just Roddy. You know what I mean? That's it. Well, that's Roddy Piper. Next up, we're going to talk about leaping Lanny Poffo.
It's been an exciting year for all of us in the World Wrestling Federation, and certainly you fans. It has been one premier year of some tremendous action here in the World Wrestling Federation. And I must say, a young man who certainly added to all of the excitement, to the electricity, hails from Downers Grove, Illinois. I've certainly got to know and appreciate the talents of this young man, not only as a professional wrestler, but certainly as a human being, a very well-educated human being, who we refer to as the poet laureate of the World Wrestling Federation. And, of course, Leapin' Lanny Poffo, I'm talking about you. You've got anything new for us this week?
Well, thank you very much. I'm blushing all over. Yes, I do have something new. A little surprise for the fans. It's the story of Bobby the Brain.
Let's hear it. The story of Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Okay. This is the story of Bobby the Brain, a title that no one disputes. Though some may call him eccentric or vain, his blonde hair not quite like its roots. But he's never been stuck for an answer. He has held Mean Gene to a draw. His big mouth has the skill of a dancer, which at times leaves Lord Alfred in awe. His latest trays with the mouth of the South has left poor Jimmy hard out of breath. But if Bobby the Brain would just come to my house, I'd teach him to speak with success.
Oh.
I'd show him an elocution display and teach him what S's are for. He'd earn his diploma just when he can say, she sells seashells at the seashore.
I love it. Thank you, Leapin' Lanny Poffo. That is excellent. However, if Bobby the Brain Heenan is around or watching, he may not be, all that fired up about that particular piece.
Well, I had to take my chances,
So, Matt, what are your thoughts on good old Leapin' Lanny?
Oh boy.
Was the genius supposed to be gay?
I don't think so.
Because I was watching Saturday's Main Event, and they kept on talking about how he tried to shake Hulk Hogan's hand with his left hand, and I don't know what they were really implying there.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Because as a kid, I never thought of him as a gay character when I was a kid.
Huh.
Like, I thought he was just like, he was the fucking genius. Like, he was
Right.
just a jackass.
Well, the insult of, smart guys are real gay guys. They're real fruity, with their intelligence and such.
When the Hulkster hits the ring, that's when it hits the fan. A nuclear explosion from a modern Superman. There never is an empty seat. They line up in the rain. Not even Halley's Comet could make the fans refrain. In the magic of the moment, when the action gets intense, kids from 6 to 86 are raptured with suspense. There has never been a hero of such magnitude before. He's been the champ for 1 year now, and here's to many more.
What is the point of doing that kind of thing, like the left hand, like exaggerated, because someone's in their earpiece telling them, make sure you say that.
Like, he would prance around and stuff, but I thought it was him being more of a sissy than, like, a nerd than someone that's homosexual. So I never, people say that, and maybe that was their intent, but I never saw it as a 10-year-old. Right. In terms of Lanny Poffo, again, he started wrestling in 1973. Did wrestle for his father's International Championship Wrestling, or ICW, outlaw promotion, which people would say that it got them blackballed, but I don't think it got them blackballed. I don't think anyone who has talent, anyone's going to draw money is never going to be blackballed. But he did spend time in the Maritimes, up in Canada. I know he did a couple shots over in Mid-South. I don't know how many, but I don't think it was a bunch. When ICW folded in 1984, which, again, if you guys haven't watched the ICW stuff, it's fucking insane and awesome. Like, it's just raw fucking Randy Savage, Macho Man, and it's just like, it's Lanny probably used to his best, potential. Because obviously, it was Lanny and Randy kind of swapping their world title back and forth. Lanny went over to Memphis, and I guess everyone remembers the famous match where fucking Ricky Morton gets pile driven through that table.
Right.
Nobody is.
He is an instrument of torture. Lance, I have a very important point to make. It might be a simile or a metaphor, but I think you'll get the message, and you can relate it to the people. Listen carefully. Poffomania has something in common with a degenerative disease called AIDS. In both cases, we are turning fruit into vegetables. Now, the Rock and Roll Express, because you have chosen to seek power by riding the back of the tiger, in other words, jumping on 6033, then you must pay the price as Elvis Presley has paid the price, as Marvin Gaye has paid the price, as Janis Joplin has paid the price. All became extinct through their own undoing, and that is what Rock and Roll Express must endure. I am telling you as a threat. I throw poems of love, but in the ring right now is a declaration of war. Poffo-mania shall bury the Rock and Roll Express. Read what it says. Rock and Roll
Express is dead. Boy, I tell you, they got a warped sense of looking at things as Lanny does his little hot dog move to get back into the ring. Randy Savage hanging one end. Lanny.
It took a lot of time and patience to make that banner, and it's symbolic, isn't it? It's symbolic of something that's really great.
Look at here, the Rock and Roll Express hit the ring. They go after Savage and Lanny Poffo. They don't look very dead to me, Dave. They're banging pretty good.
Very much alive as they hit that ring and destroyed the banner that Randy and Lanny were holding up.
Savage out on the floor. Woo, look out.
Yeah, Rick Morton with a move of his own as he dived through the ropes after Savage on the floor.
Robert Gibson comes out, nails Lanny Poffo while Rick Morton and Randy Savage are down. Referee Jerry Calhoun trying to get them separated. And the Rock and Roll Express they not only destroyed the banner, but they did a pretty good job on Poffo-mania.
Betty, baby, the party's over. If you don't want 6033 hurt, brother, take me back in the dressing room because it interferes with our match. And nobody is going to do that again. We've been pushed around, dogged around, but no more. Rock and roll is here to stay. And Randy Savage, we'll drive you down the wall, brother. Come on and get on us. Anytime. We can tell it right now, brother.
Well, I don't think Savage, a crazy fall, leaped right over that desk on Morton. Lanny's back out. The referee, Angelo, coming out. Savage came firing in the studio, cleared that table right on top of Morton. Angelo's got a chair picked up there. Here comes Eddie Marlin, I hope so. As Gibson and Lanny Poffo are going at it, Rick Morton and Randy Savage. And Eddie finally getting things quieted down. He's telling the Rock and Roll, you're not above being suspended either.
That's fucking ridiculous. They had a lot of like cool music videos over in Memphis too, which I think they did one for Static Shock, and they did one ECDC had a video with both of them in it. So those are really cool. Goes to WWE of 1985. Is essentially, I wouldn't really consider him a jobber because he wasn't, because he had a character. But he would do stuff like he would have a poem and make fun of all the heels, and he would have the frisbees that have like poems on it. He would throw it to the audience. So.
Things are absolutely buzzing here at the World Wrestling Federation. Special guest of mine this week is from Dollars Grove, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. And come on in if you would. Speaking of Chicago, we're going to be there on November the 7th with the big World Wrestling Federation Classic that is going to be seen all around the country on pay-per-view. Come on if you would, please. Leaping Lanny Poffo. Lanny, you've been at the World Wrestling Federation for a few months now, and I'm certain you've got a pretty good feel and appraisal of the tremendously high level of competition here.
That's right, Mean Gene, but I can't handle that question right now. I've got a little poem for you. I'd like to jump right into that because I'm a lot better at reading than I am at talking impromptu.
Okay, let's hear it now. This is the Poet Laureate, if you will, our resident poet here on the World Wrestling Federation, Leaping Lanny Poffo. This week, what kind of a poem?
This week, it's a poem about Mean Gene Okerlund.
Well, turn up your sets just a little bit. That's it. Very good. Go right ahead, Lanny.
When Mean Gene is on the mic, the air is full of fun. He's never at a loss for words or some atrocious pun. His strange attempts at humor when he's talking on the phone gives rise to our suspicions that it's just a dial tone. But wrestling wouldn't be the same if Okerlund got canned. We've grown accustomed to his face on television land.
Wait a minute, what have you heard?
Oh, nothing. It's just a rumor.
Okay. I didn't realize that. Very good. Matter of fact, I'd like to have a copy of that but I'd like to send it to my mother-in-law. Leap and Lanny, you've been working a great deal as a single here in the World Wrestling Federation, and I've seen you in a couple of tag team bouts. Very impressive.
He's probably a step above being a jobber, but he would do really cool stuff. Like, he was fucking throwing moonsault out like in 1986 and doing a lot of like tumbles and that kind of stuff. Stuff that we didn't see, especially at that particular time. Now, we saw it earlier with some of the more athletic wrestlers, Anatino Rocca and what have you, but, you know, for like 85, yeah, height, steroids, big guy, fucking stuff. You go around guys seeing guys tumble like that unless their neighbor's Dynamite Kid or Tiger Mask. So those are really cool to see. Remember when he got fucking murdered by Andre the Giant at that Battle Royal?
Yes.
Where he's fucking just bleeding fucking buckets and shit. Basically, you know, after that, they started doing stuff with Lanny in 1989 when they made him the Genius. Didn't get a win over Hulk Hogan on Saturday's night's main event by, I think it was count out.
I am the Genius, Lanny Poffo. That means an awful lot. Not only can I prove I am, but you can't prove I'm not. I speak 11 languages. Escuchen, por favor. Santana comes from Mexico. Yo hablo más mejor. The French I speak is magnifique. They told me in Paris. My Italian's molto bene. I learned when I was 3. I speak Latin, Greek, and Russian, Hebrew, and Portuguese. I speak Swedish and Norwegian, and I'm learning Japanese. Aside from my intelligence, I'm cunning as a rat, and I shall put these attributes to use upon the mat. I remind the competition and every wrestling fan, behold, the Genius Lanny Poffo, the world's smartest man.
That's when they broke the belt with the hammer.
Oh, yeah.
He left WWF in 1991, came back in about 1992, and became the manager of the Beverly Brothers.
Oh, the Beverly Brothers.
Yeah. Again, he would take some more time off. He'd come back in May 1984, and he beat Coco Beware. And then he lost his final WWF match to Mabel. Lanny Poffo was in WCW, he had a 4-year contract, but never actually appeared for the promotion. So good for you. Yeah, I paid for 4 years for sitting at home. And it was something about, they forgot about him. He was going to do a Gorgeous George gimmick. He purchased like the rights to use that name and all the gimmick. So I guess from Gorgeous George's widow, and was going to do a Gorgeous George gimmick, but he tried to call office and they never called him back, so he was never used. Yeah, so you know what's funny to me that they never necessarily used him on commentary. He hits an amazing voice, right? Like his voice is amazing.
Oh yeah,
first of all, I'm surprised that he doesn't have a podcast right now. And I'm surprised that he never did commentary, because I probably would have put him on commentary just to see if he liked it and he was good at it. He did publish 2 books. One is a collection of poems and limericks, and I think another one talks about he's very anti-smoking, so he did an anti-smoking book. So yeah, and his last WWE appearance is when he appeared on the 2015 Hall of Fame to induct his brother Randy Savage. So. There it is. So that is Leaping Lanny in a nutshell. You know what's cool about Leaping Lanny that he would do sometimes? He would come to the ring in like a full fucking knight's fucking armor. It's completely ridiculous. But he's a funny guy. Apparently he can suck his own penis too, but good for you, Lanny Poffo. So Matt, Kenny Omega and Okada got 7 stars by Dave Meltzer. Is that match stars? 7?
Okay.
Do you think you saw that match? Do you think that match is the greatest match of all time? Because if something got 7 stars, I mean, it might be top 2 or 3 in the modern era of wrestling. I don't know, all time. That's a long time.
I'll put it's the best match I think they've had.
I agree.
I liked the drama of it, and I thought it told a great story. The one thing that was lacking was there wasn't the and maybe it's just the way I watched it, I didn't feel like it had the utter hatred for each other. You know, like
yeah, I think that has more to do with the way they book Japanese. That's the way New Japan kind of books.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not necessarily. It's from I'm not native Japanese, and they don't have maybe the storylines that we may be used to in the territories or when WWE is good. Like they're like heat-seeking, hatred fucking storylines. Although I haven't seen one of those. Like they try to do it with Jericho, but even that's like, is that really like super hate? Like, did he hate Naito that much? Like, why? Why did he hate Naito so much?
Who wasn't hating Naito? Come on now.
That's a good point.
No, I mean it's to me a thing where the match was performed brilliantly. You know, they did a great job setting up the falls, the close falls.
Agreed.
I just think if you had a little hint of like Savage versus Steamboat, they hated each other. You know,
Savage tried to fucking end his career.
Right. I think it was a great match. I just think that it's funny watching it. I think Okada, his facial reactions kind of got weird at points.
They both have strange facials.
Yeah, but Okada just looked like he was like losing his mind. It was kind of weird. I was like, oh, all right. But I enjoyed it. I'm not surprised it got 7 stars.
I mean, I'm assuming if you saw that match live, like if you were there, I think we would have we would be putting more praise on this match.
Yeah,
amazing matchup. I can't be denied. Maybe the match of the year, greatest match of all time. I would pump the brakes a little bit there, personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said. I think it's a great match. I do think it can set up more matches, great matches. I already saw Okada's in a program now, a tag program already. Like they're bumping him out of the picture, which is fine.
Yeah.
Because I do like the fact that New Japan kind of doesn't overkill a feud.
They're probably gonna move Kenny with Cody anyway.
Right.
Because the Young Bucks won the belts too. So from what I understand, New Japan has a new president and CEO who's gonna be more aggressive in terms of global expansion, and maybe they want a little bit more Westerners as the top guys as they move forward. There's also that big controversy about, a lot of people are saying if New Japan wants to expand globally, that they're going to have the women's division. They've never had a women's division.
Right.
I don't think they even necessarily had women on their show.
I know everyone's talking about it being women's division. I could care less about there are. I guess what I'm saying, when I see women's wrestling now, outside of NXT, it's hard to really get engaged because a lot of it.
It's tough. I mean, unless you're a big fan of the Joshi promotions over in Japan. Now, the women in Japan have their own promotions, and they've done big business at times with their women's promotions in general. New Japan's never had a women's wrestling division. Now, I know they had China on their show. I think she fought Chono once or something ridiculous like that. That's probably back when Muda was booking. But a lot of people are saying, it's a misogynist and it's this, that, and the other thing. And if you want to be able to expand globally, that you need it. And it's never been part of their packet, Now, will they or won't they? They may. They may do it. They might bring in... I mean, do you really want... Because they have to go through their own national evolution.
Right.
They're gonna have to do the whole moolah thing. We're gonna have a women's 6-man match, third on the card for fucking 5 years before. I don't think they're gonna be featured like they're featured here in the States. That's why a lot of women over in Japan are coming over here now. They have a lot of ground to cover if they choose to go down that route, and they may put a lot of women promotions out of business if they did that. I don't know. A Japanese women's division in New Japan, I can take it or leave it. I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's necessarily going to hurt them all that much. I do wish they would go back and put English commentary on some of their older matches because there's a bunch of dope like Hulk Hogan and Abdul the Butcher matches that I like to have English commentary for. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, what are you going to do? So Okada and Omega, curious to see what they do going forward here. Congratulations, Kenny Omega. He's having great matches.
Yeah, best bout machine. That was kind of funny.
You know, not for nothing. I'll be completely honest. Usually I can, when I see guys for a couple times early in their career, I can usually predict how far they would go.
Yeah.
And Kenny Omega has exceeded my expectations. I didn't think he was very good. The times that I saw him, would it be like Deep South Wrestling or some of the shots he made for Ring of Honor and some of the independents he worked in the United States prior to his current one? I didn't really think much of him, and he pleasantly surprised me. So I'm curious to see I'm curious to see if he's going to do more shots in the States outside of Ring of Honor or what have you. But we'll see. All right, guys. So we are officially out.